Good morning. It is Saturday, June 15th at 8 o'clock Pacific time. Rabbi Brian is not here with us. So instead we have Missy Solomon, who is going to be leading our service this morning. Thank you and welcome, Missy, for coming.
Thank you. And welcome to everybody else who's here. Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you happen to be joining from. Yeah, I saw John wave to everybody who'll be watching the recording later elsewhere. We do this at the end too, but we can do it at the beginning. I'm glad to see everybody and I appreciate you coming. I know we miss Rabbi Brian when he's not here. I think that most all of you know me or at least recognize my face. And I can, if you don't recognize my face, I can thank Rabbi Brian for the lovely picture that he posted on the email yesterday. I was a little bit surprised, but I told the group earlier I was glad it was a picture that I don't mind of myself. Unfortunately, that background is not where I live. That's Hilton Head, where my sister lives. I live in Charlotte, North Carolina, and I'm pet sitting today, so this background isn't where I live either. But I'm glad to see everybody. We're filling up. I've got a couple of screens worth of people on my computer now. So as people are coming in, I want to welcome everybody to Religion Outside the Box. I wrote a little blurb about what ROTB is to me, and I kind of tried to memorize it, but I don't really have it memorized, so I'll just refer to my notes as I say, welcome to a different kind of spiritual community. Religion Outside the Box is a community where spirituality and religion come together in an organic and often unorthodox way. Community where everybody's thoughts and ideas matter, are important, and are welcome. A community where the real wisdom is found in the group, not in any one individual person's ideas, but in the experiences of all the individuals that make up the group. And a community where we are all made stronger and wiser by the sharing of ourselves, which is exactly what I hope will happen today. The sharing of our own little tidbits of wisdom. I'll tell you more about that topic for our service in a minute. So a couple of other things first. As Alex already said, Rabbi's not here today. I appreciate him inviting me and the opportunity to fill in for him when he's not here. It's a real blessing and an honor. I'm kind of humbled and proud at the same time. And I thank all of you for showing up. I'm not a particularly technologically skilled person. So thank goodness we have lots of people helping. If you want to share and I'm not seeing you raise your physical hand, then just raise your electronic hand if you know how, or just jump in and share when there's a lull in the conversation. I will obviously be watching for people that are interested in sharing, but sometimes I might miss you and I don't want anybody not to get the opportunity if they want it. Feel free to use chat to send emojis and love to people as they share. And also if you have anyone you'd like to add to our list of prayer requests, sending love and light to those who are in need. And then before we get really started on the topic for the service, Rabbi's gotten in a habit lately of making a space for anyone who is in need or wants support from the group, or anyone who might have some success over the past week that they'd like to share, putting into practice one of the spiritual religious type qualities that we talk about here at Religion Outside the Box. So I want to offer that same space and invitation. If there's anyone who would like some support or has a success they'd like to share.
I'm trying to go through my book. within the next year, I'll be moving. And so I'm trying to go through my books. And every time I take one out, I think, okay, I'll give this one away now. And the trouble is I start looking at it and reading it. And then, well, now I can't give that one out. So then I'll get another one out. And I'm really having trouble. I mean, I think I've gotten about 4 books out so far, and I'm not looking at them again because I know that anybody have any suggestions about how to do that with as little pain as possible. Always appreciate it.
Yeah, I had to get rid of hundreds of books when I moved. And I mean, I have a PhD in English, so every single book mattered to me. But you start with the ones, I kept the ones that had positive associations, so they were gifts from people who were dear to me. And then that sort of became one end of the scale. There's also the ones on the other end of the scale was afraid of losing the knowledge that you gained with those books.
Yeah.
Those you can always get again. They're all available at the library or in digital format now. So
Yeah,
you gotta
that's true.
start with those two ends.
Yeah.
Emily, when I moved a couple months ago, I had to also downsize my gigantic library, which is still gigantic. And the thing that made some of it really positive was finding people to give books to.
Yes.
And each of those, whether I was giving one book or multiple books, it was always an opportunity to talk about why it was important to me and why I thought it could be important to them. And
yeah, that's true.
That way it was adding to my experience and joy, but it was diminishing the size of the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Well,
and-
yeah, I found something helpful is that I have one of those little mini library box, things out in front of my house now.
free book thing.
It's wonderful, yes, because I go out every few days. I go out to see if there's any room in it, that people have been using it, and taking books and leaving books. That people have been leaving children's books and just all kinds of books and so on. And so every few days, I see that there's room to stick a few more in there. So I go through my things and see which books have the least emotional connection.
Right.
Or so
Right.
And
I hadn't thought of those little library things. Yeah.
I'm so lucky. I have the most perfect place for it. I've been wanting to get one for a couple years or so, and then somebody built one and offered it at our church auction, and then somebody else offered a couple of hours of working on a project, and so I bought both of those at the auction and put them together, and it right there's a fairly busy street right in front of my house, and there is a bus stop that stops right in front of my house too, which makes it such a perfect place because people are stopping by and in the area.
Yeah, that's a very good suggestion. And then Carol Ox keeps suggesting books, and then I have to go buy it, and then I have another book that I have to decide about.
I have a suggestion. It won't help decrease the number of books you have, although I'm taking all this in because I have, like, my whole dining room wall is stacked with boxes that need to be unpacked of books. But once Rabbi's book comes out, we can all buy 2 copies at least and put a second copy in those little library type places that Betsy was talking about and distribute it out that way.
That's a great idea.
Idea.
That's a good idea.
Well,
when I was trying to downsize my library, I found that I had a lot of books on one subject, like self-help, getting to know yourself, you are the way, all these things. And I'm making up those titles. I made a stack of all the books, and then I donated the books that I didn't, and so I kept like one or two on the same subject. And when you make a big pile like that, it kind of helps you. Like, I don't need all these books on the same subject. So that helped me.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. Sometimes I think I pretend that that certain books on my library are books that I've gotten from the library, and it's time to return them.
Good idea.
That way,
Great way to think about it.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
It's
Joe.
Well, I have one perfect solution. I have one shelf that goes from the floor to the ceiling, and it was all in psychology. I had the complete Freud, I had the complete connection to Freud, all of that. I have put my tallest tree in front of it. I can't even get to it anymore because I'm no longer interested. I can't even take him down. It's an area I'm not interested in anymore.
I'll bet this group has hundreds and hundreds and maybe thousands of books between all of everybody in this group.
Definitely thousands. 'Cause
Yeah.
I have
thou-
more than a
yeah.
thousand
I've
myself.
got thousands.
Yeah, me
Even,
too.
even after I got rid of probably a few thousand books, I've just started collecting more again. So I don't have the bookshelf
Yeah.
for it. So I've got piles. Every flat surface has piles of books on it. So I need another purge.
Well,
But
what's wonderful about books is that friends move away or die or move into senility, and books stay there.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes.
Sounds to me like we need to start a group of book owners and Purgers Anonymous. So we can have regular support on how to keep from being overrun by books.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Anybody else have success they'd like to share? Those sounded like lots of successes with people that were downsizing, but anybody else have a success they'd like to share or something else that they need support with or want support about?
Mm.
Nobody?
Oh, here's somebody, John.
John's waving.
Okay, John.
A few months ago, I participated in a project, the Joy Project, which was just an exercise of here are some activities to do for a week, focusing on joy, focusing on positive stuff. And I got an email a couple of weeks ago saying, because you participated in this, we're sending you this information. There's a conference, a 4-day video conference based around the works of the Dalai Lama.
I'm part of it.
It is fantastic. You
Yeah.
can sign up, you can join it for free, in which case there are 3 lectures per day. It started last Thursday. And you have access to those lectures for 48 hours. If you choose to join financially, then you have unlimited access, video files you can keep using, audio files you can keep using, all kinds of other stuff. And Thursday was a really busy day for me, so I missed out on Thursday and got a little bit busy yesterday. So I started watching them, and it's really fascinating stuff. Like, the people talk for an hour, approximately, and sometimes they include exercises to get you thinking about the stuff. It's been just an immense pleasure to take in this material and to listen to the folks and to think about where I fit and what it's doing a really lovely job of summarizing all kinds of thinking that I've been doing over the last 65 years or more. And I don't know, I can, all I can do, the best I can offer the rest of you is, it is the Dalai Lama Global Vision Summit.
Okay.
Day 1 was finding true happiness. Day 2 is meditations for the heart and mind. Day 3, peace in ourselves, peace in the world. Day 4, living in love and compassion. And day 5, health and well-being, ancient wisdom for the body and mind. And there are 3 keynote speakers each day. Sorry, just 3 speakers. The keynote speaker was over and above that. If anybody has any interest, you can still get in, and because it doesn't cost anything to get the initial stuff. But if you just check out the Dalai Lama Global Vision Summit, and the root group, it's called Lions Roar.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
And this is the 4th, I believe this is the 4th annual of doing this. I can only encourage anybody that that would like to do it. And Al, I wish I could have gotten to you sooner, because Valerie Brown, is that name familiar to
Oh,
you?
she was wonderful.
No.
She did. Okay, she did part of day 1.
No,
So-
day 2. I saw her yesterday.
Okay, but the point is, the 48 hours for her to access this talk that she did on Thursday is now over. It ended at 9 o'clock this morning.
She was wonderful.
Maria just posted the link in the chat for anybody that
Oh,
wants
thank you.
that there. Thank you, John. I missed that somehow. I get emails from Lions Roar, but I missed that. It sounds wonderful.
It is.
Anybody else? Candace?
I haven't yet read the book, but a counselor I know suggested a book called The Body Keeps the Score. And it's by, hold on now, Bessel van der Kolk, Kolk. And there's also a YouTube lecture where he talks about this, and his take is that, you know, the effects of trauma from mild to severe are located at physical spots in the body. And I guess I've heard of active release, and I guess that helps work on it. So I've ordered the book. It's not here yet, but just look for The Body Keeps the Score. Because there's a YouTube lecture, which I should kind of look at too. That's part of my homework, but just wanted to throw that out there as well.
Thank you. I'll check it
I
out.
posted an Amazon link in the chat.
Oh, great. Did I miss anybody? Are there any hands up that I'm not seeing? Thank you, everybody. Lovely suggestions and places to go for more wisdom and insight and spiritual religious principles and qualities to consider and study and follow and apply and all of that. I appreciate it. So for today, what I had in mind, and we may go in a different direction, who knows? I'm all about going with the flow of the group. The wisdom is in the group. It's my mantra whenever I facilitate or lead a group. I believe completely in how the group leads itself. But my idea for a topic, so to speak, was tidbits of personal wisdom. And what I mean by that are those little, like, simple, probably, but profound, often little quips that we easily remember. And when things are happening, it just comes to us as a little piece of wisdom that aids us in our daily life. And so I have lots of those that are always on the tip of my tongue, just because I like to remember those little kind of short quotes, maybe from somebody else, or something I heard maybe at Religion Outside the Box, or in the sermon where at the church where I belong, or in an AA meeting, or any number of different places where I might be having conversations with people that feel meaningful and are helpful to me in my life. So what I'm hoping we'll do is, a bunch of you hopefully will want to share some little tidbit of wisdom that you think might benefit us, that has benefited you. And what I'm hoping to get is not just the little quip, like the, couple of words in the sentence that you hold in your mind, but a little bit more. Maybe where you gained that piece of wisdom, who shared it with you, the circumstances of how it came to be important to you in your life. What ways has it made a difference for you? And what I'd like to do is have a few of you who have something on the top of your mind share with us, and then we'll go into breakout rooms with 4 or 5 people, so that the people who maybe aren't that comfortable sharing in the larger group, or just because we won't have time for everybody to share, will have an opportunity to share in the smaller group their tidbit of wisdom, their little nugget of insight. And then when we come back, there'll be an opportunity again for whatever you gleaned and gained from your small group to be brought into the whole group, so that we can all benefit from it. So I hope that sounds interesting to everybody. And I know without a doubt that this room is going to have lots of wisdom to share. So I'd like to open the floor to anybody who'd like to graciously go first and get us started. I see Lynn's hand.
Alex has her electronic hand up too.
Okay. And I see one other raised hand, so that's good. We'll get started with Lynn, and then Alex, and then whomever the other person is. Ron. Perfect. Go ahead, Lynn.
Well, this was, my best friend was Cindy Williams, the actress who recently died. And she used to say something that always struck me funny. I don't know whether it's just right for this particular assignment, but it always struck me funny is when people ask things of you and you're just already overloaded with things to do. She used to say, my plate is full and it's a paper plate.
Yeah.
And it works if you're really, really busy and you can't take on another charity project or help somebody because your plate is full. So I just wanted to share that with everybody.
That's a good one. That's
I like
good.
that. Sometimes it's hard to say no. Yeah, I mean, I'm better about it than I used to be, but boy, in my 20s, I would say yes to anything anybody asked me, and then I'd be overwhelmed and crazy all the time. I've gotten older and tireder, so I don't do that so bad as I used to. Thanks, Lynn. Hey,
Yeah, I like the second part of that, the paper plate, because that's the implications of what happens if you still try to push.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like that.
Absolutely.
So mine actually comes from kind of an interesting place. Sometimes you get these little tidbits of wisdom in things, in things that you don't expect, right?
Mm-hmm.
I worked for a company years and years ago in their IT department, and the IT department was just incredibly dysfunctional. And so to make the team more cohesive, they started doing all these team building exercises and sent us to a corporate psychologist. And I mean, we did all of these things, and, you know, we had one-on-one meetings with this corporate psychologist, and a bunch of stuff. And this corporate psychologist said to me, one of the things that I've like incorporated as my personal motto, and you know, this was like way back in the, you know, the early 90s, I think is when this was said to me. And what was said was, be the person you want to be, regardless of what everybody else is doing.
That's good.
Mhm.
Yeah, oh, that's very good.
And
Say it one more time for us, Alex.
so be the person you want to be, regardless of what everybody else is doing. And, you know, that's really stuck with me, because it's really helped me, you know, in times where people are just being, you know, assholes. And really all I want to do is strike back or be cruel or get revenge or get even or whatever. That's what, you know, that's what your instinct is when somebody wrongs you. You know, if you get punched in the nose, you want to punch back. And, you know, I remember this, and then I think to myself, is that really the person that I want to be? Yeah, these people are being jerks. These people are being assholes. But do, you know, and sometimes the answer is yes. But, you know, I'll be honest, right? But a lot of time, the answer is no, I don't want to do that. And, you know, so I've really hung on to that. You know, especially when I was with my, you know, with my ex-wife, you know, there was a lot of pressure, you know, from family, especially, you know, how could you do this to us to be with this person? And, you know, that really, you know, that really came to play in those days where, you know, my family was being terrible, and, you know, I didn't need to be terrible back because they were being jerks. So
Thanks. Yeah.
I've always thought, well, it was a few years ago that, because like a lot of folks, I don't like saying no to people, but then I entertained the concept of saying yes to myself in cases like that. So it kind of helps me figure out whether helping the other person is a good idea or not. And yeah, I used to get really overwhelmed, and oh heck, my plate wasn't even a paper plate, it was like wax paper, you know.
No plate at all, right? Iran, you want to go next?
Sure. I have a friend who's a psychologist, Rocky Garrison, who based a lot of his work around the phrase, forgiveness is giving up all hope of a better past.
Yes.
And so I went looking for that, the source of that, who originally said it. And it's interesting in that it is officially unknown. They know the first person to cite it, but they said that that person said they had heard it elsewhere. And for me, I have a lot of childhood trauma. And so I experienced a lot of childhood trauma. And so giving up hope of the better past by forgiving my father is a big deal for me. And I still have to work on it from time to time. But then I remember it ain't going to change anything. And he was damaged too.
Yeah.
So, anyway, that's mine.
Love that. Thank you.
Yes. Very profound.
Yeah.
Jordan, I saw your hand up a minute ago.
Yeah, I have something. This is something my wife says now and again. She has a difficult job and deals with difficult people. I think she read it in a calendar somewhere or something, but she says, I am not the asshole whisperer. It's not my job to make assholes feel better about themselves. I am not the asshole whisperer. So
I'm gonna
Well, that's
remember
Put that on a t-shirt. That would go great.
it belongs on a t-shirt. Yeah.
Oh, I'm writing that one down. Well, I wrote them all down, but I am not the asshole whisperer. So good. John, I see your hand, so why don't we go to you, and then we'll, after you share, Alex, we'll go into our breakout rooms and let everybody have a couple of minutes. We're going to do an 8-minute breakout room, I think, so there'll be 2-ish minutes each, so you'll have time to go into depth if you want to. John, please.
In one of the lectures that I watched this morning, the speaker talked about an African proverb, and it fits so well with a lot of stuff Brian's been saying in the last while, and it fits so well with all of us, I think. If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
I like that.
Yeah.
I think that's so much of what we're about here.
I like that.
Run that by us one more time, John.
If you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Lovely. Thank you. So Alex is going to set up our breakout rooms. And yeah, please do join the breakout room. If you don't want to, you don't have to. It's always an invitation. If you get finished a little early, you can come back to the main room, or you can just chit chat and get to know each other better if you don't already. I don't know everybody as well as I'd like to, so that may be the case of some others of us here too.
All right, I'm ready to open the rooms. We're gonna have 8 minutes total, so you'll have 7 minutes uninterrupted, and at the 7-minute mark, you'll get a 60-minute or 60-second warning. All right, rooms are now open.
If you want to go quickly.
You're muted, Maria.
Quick question. If you're the host, well, because you're the host right now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you go to a breakout room?
I think I can, but this is the session that gets recorded, so.
Yes. Yes. So, yeah, I was just wondering that.
But maybe I should just pause the recording for a moment, since it's not.
Yeah.
Unless you have something profound to say.
I do. I'm just going to take a quick bathroom break.
Oh, okay. Hello, Michael. We're just in breakout rooms at the moment.
I just wanted to catch something today.
Yeah, we're in breakout rooms discussing, we just started, and we have about 5 minutes left, so.
It's okay, I'm not gonna break. I just wanted to feel the love, that's all.
Okay, well.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
we're discussing a tidbit of wisdom that has served you well in your life and where it came from.
Okay, gotcha.
So mine was, be the person you want to be regardless of what other people are doing. And that came from, I worked for a company that was extremely dysfunctional in their IT department. And we had a team building exercise. They were trying to fix it, and they had team building exercises and corporate psychologists and all this stuff. And that quote was something that the corporate psychologist said to me at one point. So
That's good. What comes to my mind is, if not now, when? So,
that's true. That's very true.
so it's never too late to connect with. That's for sure. Yeah.
Well, I think you're right in that you know, as long as we're breathing, we still have an opportunity to change, to
Yeah.
grow, to, you know, do whatever.
Right. Yeah, to make other choice to feel better. I think that's kind of where I'm at right now. Thank you. It's a wonderful community. Are you just sort of managing everything right now? Are you you're not in a group, eh?
Yeah, I'm hosting because Rabbi is not here today. Missy Solomon has graciously
Oh, wow.
decided to substitute, so she's leading the
Great.
discussion, but she's off in one of the breakout rooms at the moment.
Oh, super. Great. Great. Sounds good.
So Maria, what is your tidbit of wisdom?
Yeah, I didn't have one. Like, I know you thought of yours immediately, and I love yours, Alex. I love yours, sort of thing. But I was thinking, like, just be kind and think before I speak. Because I look back at some of the things that I said to other people, and I'm like going, what? Why did I say it like that? Like, why was I mean? Like, right? I could have said the same thing in a much kinder way. Or like some of the things I said, like, they just didn't need to be said. So, you know, think before I speak. So.
Yeah, amazing. Oh, so this is our group. Oh,
Well,
my
there's more in the group. We've got
no, but in the breakouts.
Yeah, everybody's in the breakouts. I think we have about 30 people today.
Yeah, well, we're a breakout here, I guess.
This is true.
Who's Jim? I see Jim. Don't say him.
I don't know if does Jim have a word of wisdom or a tidbit of wisdom that you want to share, Jim?
No, so that's why I've sort of not joined any breakout room.
Fine.
Oh, good. Gotcha.
That's fine.
Well, look at. I'm just glad this group I'm glad we're flourishing as a group, a community. I really am happy about this. Amazing.
Agree. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think these tidbits kind of come from really interesting places for a lot of people, right? You know, they don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, like the one, you know, the one that I have, you know, now I will admit, Maria, that that this didn't just pop into my brain this second. You know, when you know, in the planning meeting that we have earlier in the week for the service, you know, this idea was floated, and you know, so I actually thought about it. So I did homework. So
But you wrote something down immediately on Wednesday.
Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, because again, this has been sort of my, you know, my motto for, you know, for a very, very long time. And
Yeah.
You read it again. I didn't hear
So-
it enough. I didn't listen well enough.
be the person you want to be, regardless of what everybody else is doing.
Good. So what's an addendum to that is listen. I mean, you know, it's interesting. In the listening is the space actually to make a choice, actually, isn't there?
Mhm.
That's where it is. Sometimes, anyway.
Mhm.
But and also, I just had an experience just going out for breakfast and whatever, one thing leading to another, and I was really curt. I brought my last experience into the transaction with the person in the bakery, and it was so clear that I was just acting out, you know, just carrying that moment from the last encounter to there.
Yeah, right.
And then when I came back and, you know, apologized, really, you know, she just didn't bother her, you know, because she was in the mode of doing her job, you know, so she was dealing with one customer after another, after another, after another. But at least I felt, you know, I took responsibility for being, you know, the tone and the attitude. It felt
Yeah.
good.
Because I think too, like one that I've sort of gone by too is my words, my responsibility.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We got about 60 seconds till the break room come back in.
No, there's Steve. Hi, Steve.
And like, we're coming back.
Great.
Or did I just bounce out of my room?
No, basically the rooms are closing. You got the close notice, and I'm assuming that you just accepted the you know, you left.
No, I just kind of disappeared, but okay.
Okay.
Here comes my roommates.
The squares are going to fill up now. Miss Carol.
Maria, have you been well? I haven't seen you for a long time.
Yeah, I've just been sort of overwhelmed with gardening. There's just so much to do.
That's a wonderful thing to
So-
be overwhelmed with.
Yes,
Totally approve. Totally
I
approve.
envy you.
Totally approve.
Welcome back, everybody. So an 8-minute room wasn't too long in the room that I was in.
No.
Yeah.
8 minutes was lovely.
So
Yeah.
was this a better, was this a better length for people?
Yeah.
Much better.
Yes, I think
we
so,
a little more
because
time than that.
yeah, I think it was better because we had time to spread our wings a little bit rather than just blurt out what it was that we were supposed to say, trying to say.
Or get past because there wasn't enough time to get to you.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
I had one line that I didn't say that I really wanted to, and that is, don't forget Martin Buber.
Expound on that a little bit for us, Rita.
What was that?
Expound on that a little bit for us. Tell us where that came from and why it's a piece of wisdom.
Well, I brought up Martin. I call him Martin now, you understand.
Yeah.
I've brought him up so often that now people have often expected me to mention him before the time was up. He's been my my approach to living a spiritual life is the realm of dialogue and the connection. And what you said earlier, I think, you know, about somebody said about community being where love is and God, etc. So and it's become kind of a joke that I have to mention him at least once during a service. So I've done that now, you guys. You're off the hook.
I will add to that if anytime I'm in a group with Rita and it doesn't get mentioned, always before the group breaks up, somebody will make mention of Rita.
Exactly.
Don't forget Martin Buber.
We got to get Martin into the conversation today.
It's true. But he's good. He's worthwhile investigating if you haven't yet.
What I'd like to do is take a minute here at this point and have have Maria lead us in our list, our prayer requests, our love and light, the people we're sending love and light to. And then we'll follow that with the minute of gratitude, as is the tradition here in this group. And then we'll come back and do some more sharing from what people gleaned out of their small groups, if that suits everybody. Maria, please.
These are the people to whom we are sending light and love. Joe and Ken, Sheridan H., Rita S., Greg, Shirley W., Jerry W., Cullen and family, Tammy and family, Valerie and family, Marilyn G., John, Daniel, Carolyn, Sam, the family of Bruce Brackman, Jack D. and Robert H. of blessed memory, Nick S., Teresa S., James S. in memory, Brian G. of blessed memory, his wife Marie and family, Kara, Bonnie, and Ed, Cullen and Seth, Matthew Perkins in spirit, and his grieving sweetheart Sarah, Pat Prada, Joan D., Mary, Mary Ellen, Nelke, Eloise, Athena, and Adam, Kathleen Brooks, Beth, Michael Watkins and Jason Padilla, Lisa Kranis, son Sam, and husband Al. If there is another person in our community to whom we can offer light and love, please put their name in the chat and I will add them to the list in the clubhouse. And for the people who aren't named, but who are in our thoughts, we send them light and love as well.
Thank you, Maria. A moment of quiet gratitude, please. Thank you, everyone. Who would like to share what they shared in the small group, or maybe something that somebody else shared that they really appreciated and we're gonna incorporate into their own little toolbox of wise words? Jeff, please.
I'll share something.
Thank you.
Back when I was in high school, I dated a girl who gave me some of the best advice of my life, which was never lose your sense of humor in any given situation.
Yeah, we'll agree with that.
Well, I have to add then, mine was my sense of humor is my saving grace.
There you go.
I'm with you and her.
Indeed, often. I know there has to be more.
I have one.
Lynn, please, thank you.
Starting the day, I got this from my group, starting the day off with a smile and wear a Hawaiian shirt.
Or tie-dyed.
Or tie-dyed, that's what I was gonna say.
There you go.
Yeah. Absolutely. I used to have quite a few Hawaiian shirts in my collection. My brother worked for a company that produced many Hawaiian shirts back in the day. Anybody else?
Well,
I thank you for the wisdoms that you brought to your small groups and for what you shared in the larger group. We have time left, and so I have a request. This summer, the church where I belong, my other congregation, as Christina in Sweden calls her church, my other congregation, the ministers are on sabbatical. They're hiking the El Camino over in Spain. They're gone for, I think, 6 weeks maybe. A graciousness that our church is able to provide a long sabbatical for our ministers every few years. And while they're gone, we have guest preachers. The summer series is based in Psalms, if that's important to anybody, but it's a survey of human emotions. And I've been invited to preach, and the Sunday that I've been assigned is disappointment and failures.
Oh, jury.
And actually, I unfortunately relate to that topic a little more than I would like to. And some of that is just my personality and my tendency to be unkind to myself and see places where someone else might not see it as a failing, but I do, or I'm much more prone to disappointment in myself than I am in another person. But I thought, given the wisdom of this group, that there might be a few ideas in here, something that somebody might offer me to assist me in writing my sermon, or just your own experiences around the human emotion of disappointment and failures, and how you deal with that. A couple of weeks ago, we had a panel of experts that gave their best suggestions for how to deal with some human emotion. I can't recall right now if it was anger or something else. But I will take any kind of shares you would like to do on the uplifting topic of disappointment and failures. Alex, I see your hand is up, gladly, and then Jeff.
One of the lessons that I learned in my life is that sometimes your worst failure turns out not to be that. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And where I realized this is back in the 1990s, I used to run a computer bulletin board, and for a period of time, it was very successful. But for those who are using, tech, it went the way of the dinosaur, and the internet sort of took over. And I had a lot of money invested in this. I had a lot of effort invested in this. It was a business for me, and it ultimately failed, and, leading to tremendous financial disaster for me personally. And for years, I thought of this as my biggest mistake and my biggest failure, right? And the board was shut down in 1997. And about 10 years later, maybe 11 years later, somebody remembered my old email address, reached out to me, and they said, "Hey, we've set up a community on Facebook, remembering this old computer bulletin board that you set up." And there were and I was just absolutely, I was curious. So that was when I signed on to Facebook, and I went there, and here's all these people sharing all these wonderful stories of my bulletin board and the relationships that they made and the friendships that they had found and the marriages that were created and a few divorces and the children that were brought into this world, and the kids who, because they had been on my board, were inspired to go on to careers in IT, careers in cybersecurity. And what I realized was that what I thought was my most profound failure in life was actually a huge success in terms of the impact that it made on other people. And you know, I'm getting a little misty-eyed talking about it.
Yeah, me too.
It really brought home to me the fact that failure and success is not necessarily measured by money or dollars, or you know, it sometimes is measured by the impact that you have on other people.
Mm.
Amen.
Thank you, Alex. Heard several tidbits of wisdom in that story for sure. Yeah. Jeff, please.
There's an old business axiom that says nothing succeeds like failure,
Yeah.
because you have to recalibrate and start again.
It's true.
Amen.
That's the advantage of getting older, is that you can look back at all the many failures and see what good came out of them.
Right.
Mhm.
What I've always said to people is you only own two things in life. Really, only two. You own your name and you own your mistakes.
Yeah.
I read something, if I will repeat it correctly, but if you're not, along the lines of, if you're not making mistakes, you're not doing anything.
Right.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
And there's no success without failure. Like in the arts, you're gonna fail with the, if you're learning new steps, you're not gonna get them right, but you keep going, and through failure comes success. And I like that there's no success without failure, because that's how you learn.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I think I saw your hand next, or John's, but we'll go with you since I just said you.
I included this in a sermon that I gave on May 26th, and if you want to listen to it, email me and I'll send you the link. I got frisky, and my husband got frisky at the same time, and decided to leave the jobs that we were enjoying for bigger and better pastures. My husband, we moved out of state, left our friends. My husband loved his new job, and I was absolutely miserable. And I had, unbeknownst to myself, I had walked into the most toxic work environment I would ever experience. It was toxic emotionally, spiritually, and socially. It was horrible. And I made a deal with myself that I would leave it, but I would leave it with kindness and grace. It took me 4 years living in a toxic waste dump of an environment. But I left, and my husband and I both got positions in California that we enjoyed. But at the same time that I was surviving that toxic waste dump, I was awarded a Kellogg Fellowship. It meant I traveled around the world, and it transformed my path of my life. It was one of the best things that ever happened to me. And it was happening simultaneously with the most horrible, horrible, toxic environment I'd ever been in. So a lot had to do with expectations. And we are sometimes very surprised by reality. Reality comes in a package that we never would expect.
Thank you.
You know, there's an old expression, if you fight reality, you will lose only 100% of the time.
I think I've heard that at Religion Outside the Box before. Yeah. So I see John and Bob's hands up, and I want to give them an opportunity and also just acknowledge that it's 12 o'clock, and we'll just stay for these last two shares, and then Alex will open up our after hours breakout rooms for us. Alex, do you need to end the recording now since it's on the hour, or does that matter?
I think we can continue it, you know, if we don't go on too much longer, and,
Okay.
you know, because I'd like to give John and Bob a chance to say their piece really quick.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
and then after that, we also want to acknowledge you, Missy, and thank you for
Yes.
your work today.
Oh,
So,
beautiful, perfect.
so go ahead, John.
Missy, one of the things that strikes me is that you have a particular presence. Okay, just whatever, an aura, however we want to describe it. I would think with the topic that you have, I could see, if it was me, I could see going and completely disguising yourself under this cloak of disappointment and failure and gradually peeling back the layers that brings you to the point where you are typically, as we see you, and as I'm sure other people in your congregation see you, as an illustration of how the transforming nature of moving past those negative things
Yeah.
can have an effect.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you, John. Thank you for your words, and thank you for that idea. That's a wonderful idea for the structure of the sermon. I appreciate that very much. Bob, what do you have to say, my love?
Yes, thank you. Given a lot of thought about failures and mistakes, and that what I do is when I attempt something that doesn't turn out the way that I had expected, that I can look at it as a mistake or as a learning experience, and that and failures are often things that are other people's expectations, and that again, what I work at is learning from whatever I have attempted, and knowing that that it brought me to a different place that I would not have gone, and that where I succeeded in accomplishing something that was meaningful to me.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yes. You are a lovely group of human beings. I'm so pleased to be a part of Religion Outside the Box, and I thank you for the opportunity to fill in for Rabbi Brian when he's not here.
We thank you, Missy. I think today's discussion was really great. And I know that you put some work into, you know, kind of planning it all out. So I'm going to go ahead and end the recording. So I guess we can all wave. And thank you for being here today. And
Thank you.
go ahead and stop at this point.